What is going on, everybody? Fluxo here, and welcome to this week's episode, which is episode 3 of TYPHON Industries. A few things before we get into the build. I've taken in what you guys have been saying in regards to the speed of the videos, so I have slowed this one down a little bit. Hopefully that helps. You must bear with me as this type of video is all new to the channel, so fine-tuning everything is going to take a few tries as I'm trying to fit 10 hours of filming into a 30-minute video. Nonetheless, I would just like to thank you all for being here. The response to these videos has been on a level that I couldn't have even predicted, so thank you so much for that. Like and subscribe for episodes and content like this on a weekly basis. Let me know your thoughts on the video in the comment section down below. That all being said, let's get into the video. I started off by using the structure I already had with the entrance and then expanding that into the level I needed. Once I had the height I needed, I started mapping out the floor outline for the build itself. I knew I wanted to build a lower deck, so I added some shaping to the front and hollowed out the room for the lower deck itself. Once I had my lower deck stenciled out and I was happy with the shape, I added my windows. From there I started to coat the outside foundation in 4-meter walls so I could later change the colour to highlight the build. I turned the inner walls black using paint and asphalt foundations, as this would give me depth once I had changed the outside colour of the walls. From there I added structure to the windows by outlining them with beams. I then decided to remove the inner foundation of the outside wall to let the shape of the concrete pillar carry itself to the top. From there I angled the walls and the lower part of the outside structure to give it the feeling like it was locked in place. After that, I finished the shaping to the lower deck to give me a better insight on what I needed to do next. After coating the last of the foundation outside of the build, I filled in the remaining foundation on the inside of the build itself. Now being happy with the shape and layout, I use the highlighted colour to bring the shape and depth into the build. I then finished off our lower deck by adding a centered doorway and some lighting for aesthetics. With this section now complete, it gave us structure, layout and a good solid idea of where the build was going. I started this next section off by shaping foundation to house our miner for the Caterium node below. Once the miner was in, I added depth to the side of the build and then started shaping out our sector for the incoming Caterium ore. Once I was happy with the shape, I outlined the whole thing with edging and filled in the foundation with asphalt. From there I created an incoming platform for splitting off our ore and then housed the ladder belt in the small concrete pillars. After adding my splitters, I then encased them. From there I built an exposed platform for the ore on the roof to be showcased before dropping back inside to the smelters. Now I had the alignment, I added my smelters and overclocked them to receive 100 ore each per minute. I then fed the ore belts into them from the ceiling above. Lastly, I temporarily removed the foundations below to implement my wiring. I then encased the beltwork in small concrete pillars. Now I had an understanding of the placement for the machinery inside, I rescaled the roof shape slightly and then levelled out the remaining floor inside. From there I was able to add in my constructors for the Quickwire and tie on all the machines together with beltwork ready for the production. Once again, I removed the lower foundation to install my wiring. After overclocking the constructors, I removed the original roof stencil and then added merging belt work for the quickwire. Now all the machines were in place, I knew what room I had to work with, so I started outlining the shape of the build itself. Once I had the shape, I coated it in concrete to give me more of an idea where to go next. When I was certain with the shape, I started to add the 4-meter wall coating to blend it with the lower levels. I then continue with the lower shade concrete pillars to give the structure some more depth. I then added asphalt to mimic the lower level design. At this point I realised that there wouldn't be enough light going into the build, so I used this opening as a perfect opportunity to implement that light. Also, it gave the inside an awesome view with the dune desert down below. I used the foundation to fad the centre of the angled corner so I could fit my sign perfectly. Once the sign was in, I removed the outside beams as I felt that they were out of place, keeping the middle beam for structure to the window. Lastly, I added some detailing to the inside of the window to give everything a polished look. To finish up with the right side of the build, I continued with the lower shade beams and then installed a window and doorways to the outside balcony. Once again, I structured the window with beams and then added signs for the inside and outside to give the wall more character. After adding some last minute detailing, I then finished off the edging to the outside walls and then added asphalt for the roof edging. Before installing the rear wall to the build, I added some detailing and some colour shading to the remaining area around the miner. Once I completed the detailing outside, I finished off the rear wall by continuing the look from the side and adding a large sign to the inside and the out. Moving on to the inside, I thickened up the pillars encasing the belts to give it more structure. Then I coated the concrete underneath the machines whilst running the patterns along the asphalt outside for walkways. I added some last minute detailing using patterns and sign lighting. With stage 2 completed, it was time to finish up the lower deck and the inside of the build. Just before finishing the inside, I wanted to give myself a stencil on the shape I needed for the roof, so I stenciled out the room I needed to give me a solid idea of what space I had to work with inside. With the outline shape of the roof now installed, I moved on to finishing the inside with asphalt walkways. After finishing some last minute edging around the window, I outlined my walkways with patterns and started to hollow out the pathway to lead to the lower deck. Once I was happy with my pathway underneath, I polished off the edging and added some sign light posts. The lower deck room was mainly for show, so I finished off with detailing around the walls and the ramp leading down. I then polished it off with asphalt flooring. With the lower deck now completed, I finished off the factory floor with some coated concrete and then completed the construction on the outside wall. Next up, I needed to bring the beltwork for the Quickwire through the ceiling to the outside, ready to be loaded onto the drone ports. Now the beltwork was neatly leading outside, I finished off the roof by using a simple slit technique using barriers. I implemented this on both sides of the roof and then added 1 meter walls in between the grooves to give the roof some more depth. Now the inside is finished and polished up, we move on to the last part of the build, which is the drone ports. I always like to keep the flow of machinery in every build I do. I do this by adding overflow systems into awesome sinks to each factory so the production never stops. Once the awesome sinks were in, I brought down the belts for the Quickwire, and using the smart splitters, I programmed the splitters to send the overflow to the awesome sinks once the drone ports were full. Once everything was in place, I hooked the overflow lines up to the awesome sinks. From there it was time to install the drone ports. I do this by always ensuring that I can bring product up from the lower floor and feed batteries in from the center floor. Once the beltwork was installed, I encased the whole area and numbered the ports using floor patterns. I angled the overhang wall as I felt it made the overall look feel more secure. Lastly, I added some more aesthetics to the back of the drone ports with some sign lighting. To finish off the last wall, I stuck with the pillared theme that we had around the rest of the build. I added a lower window once again and structured that with some beams. Lastly, I added some sign lighting around the door and the fix-it sign above the windows to break up the flat wall. To finish off the entire build, I just added a little more structure to the underside of the overhang. And there you have it, guys, our Quickwire facility is now complete. I want to thank you all for the feedback you are giving in the comments, as they really do help improve the layout of these videos and better your viewing experience. I want to once again thank you all so much for being here. Like, comment and subscribe to show your support. I will leave you with some shots of the build in operation, but as for myself, love you all loads, and I'll catch you all in the Discord.